After nearly 2 years of silence, why did BTS's Suga suddenly return to social media? Is this just a casual post, or a hidden signal of something massive? Could this be the long-awaited turning point for BTS as a group? Fans across the globe are holding their breath. What do you think this means? Share your thoughts, comment, like, and subscribe to keep the discussion alive. BTS's Suga has officially broken his digital silence. For almost 2 years, his absence from social media felt like a void for millions of fans, a gap that seemed endless since his enlistment in September 2023. The day he went offline, the online world slowed down for ARMY. Every update felt incomplete without his touch, his quiet humor, his understated yet sharp perspective. And now, suddenly, Suga has reappeared. No captions, no explanations. Just photos. Simple, yet overwhelmingly powerful. The internet is ablaze with questions. Why now? Why like this? Why in a way that seems so intentional yet leaves everything unsaid? The post was raw and stripped back black outfit, guitar in hand, a studio setting, his expression unreadable yet undeniably captivating. The return wasn't just an update. It was an event. Fans exploded in excitement across platforms. Hashtags surged to the top of global trends, and theories multiplied within minutes. To the uninitiated, it might look like nothing more than a set of pictures. But for ARMY, this was a message. A whisper that screamed louder than words. Suga is back! And perhaps BTS is preparing to ignite once more. The timing could not be more significant. With BTS's military service staggered across members, every glimpse of activity has been dissected for clues. Could Suga's sudden reappearance be synchronized with strategic planning behind the scenes? Fans remember how he often dropped breadcrumbs in the past, small, almost forgettable gestures that later unfolded into monumental announcements. Some recall the way he teased Augusti content before it became a global movement. Others remember how his understated interviews later revealed layers of carefully measured timing. If history repeats itself, these photos are not random. They are deliberate. They are a signal. The deeper question gnawing at everyone is this. Is BTS gearing up for a comeback as a full group? The pieces, when placed together, form a pattern that feels impossible to ignore. The contract renewals with HYBE, the consistent messaging from members about meeting again soon, the gradual return of each member from military service, all of it converges into this electrifying moment. And Suga, known for his sharp instincts and strategic timing, might have just pulled the trigger on the first domino. Reactions online have been thunderous. ARMY across continents erupted with tears, screams, laughter, and even disbelief. Some fans wrote emotional messages about how his presence feels like home, how one simple photo can heal years of waiting. Others went deeper, dissecting every detail of his outfit, the type of guitar, even the studio lighting, in search of hidden meanings. Is he recording? Is he preparing a solo project? Or could this be connected to BTS's long-rumored reunion timeline? Theories flood every corner of the internet, building a tension that feels almost unbearable. And yet, beneath all the speculation lies something profoundly human. Suga's post isn't just about music or career. It is about connection. After years of sacrifice, discipline, and distance during military service, he chose this moment to let ARMY know, I'm here. I remember you. I haven't forgotten. That bond between idol and fan, so often underestimated, is what transforms a simple Instagram upload into a global cultural earthquake. This return is also symbolic of something larger. BTS is more than a band. It is a phenomenon that has carried South Korean culture to every corner of the world. Every move they make is scrutinized, not just as entertainment, but as a reflection of identity, resilience, and unity. Suga's act of re-entering the digital sphere carries weight beyond fandom. It touches national pride, global media narratives, and the future of an industry that BTS themselves reshaped. As the hours pass, anticipation is only growing. Will there be an official statement from HYBE? Will Suga address ARMY directly in a live broadcast? Or will silence remain his weapon, leaving the fandom suspended in an endless cycle of hope and speculation. The silence itself becomes part of the drama, forcing every fan to project their own interpretations onto those stark, captionless photos. That strategy, intentional or not, has created one of the most tense, electric atmospheres the fandom has felt in years. But perhaps the most pressing question remains unanswered. Is this just the beginning? Could this be the spark that reignites the flame of BTS's collective activity? Fans know better than anyone that with BTS, nothing is ever done without meaning. Their history has proven that every move, every gesture, every silence carries a hidden narrative waiting to unfold. And if Suga's return signals even a fraction of what fans hope it does, the next few months could reshape the landscape of global pop music once again. For now, the world waits, the comments flood in, and the anticipation grows heavier with each passing moment. Suga's quiet storm has already made history not through an explosive announcement, but through a silence that speaks louder than words. So, what do you think this means? Is BTS on the brink of a full-scale return? Is Suga about to drop a project that will shake the industry? Or is this just the calm before a storm so powerful it will redefine everything we thought we knew about the group? Comment your thoughts below. Share this with fellow ARMY. Like if you felt the same rush of adrenaline seeing Suga's post. And subscribe to stay updated because one thing is certain. This news is far from over. Controversy ignites where passion burns brightest. And Suga's sudden return to social media has already sparked more than just excitement. It has also opened the door to debates, doubts, and even conflicts within the fandom and beyond. Was this timing truly about reconnecting with fans, or is there a calculated corporate strategy unfolding behind the scenes? The questions are not just emotional but political in the landscape of K-pop, where every move by an idol is tied to larger narratives of industry control, marketing strategies, and the fragile relationship between authenticity and commercial power. Some fans celebrated Suga's photos as an intimate gesture, proof that he still prioritizes ARMY above all else. Yet others voiced suspicion. Why, after 2 years of near silence, did he choose now, right when the global conversation about BTS's post-military comeback is heating up? Is this organic or orchestrated by HYBE to boost market sentiment and stock value? Critics argue that idols rarely move independently when it comes to timing, and that major corporate forces may be behind this emotional surprise. That alone has stirred unease. If the return is a carefully designed stunt, then the authenticity of Suga's connection with fans is being weaponized for financial gain. On Korean forums, debates quickly escalated. Some questioned whether his seemingly casual photos were staged in a studio with a larger rollout plan in mind. Observers pointed to the guitar, the black outfit, the deliberate lighting details too polished to be random. Is Suga subtly hinting at recorded material, or is this visual merely bait to set expectations higher than reality? If fans feel misled, the backlash could rival the excitement. After all, ARMY has proven time and again that, while they are loyal, they are also critical when transparency is compromised. Adding fuel to the fire is the speculation about BTS's group comeback. Some argue that Suga's return is a clear sign that the reunion is imminent, while others caution against false hope. If the fandom pushes too hard and the group does not deliver on these expectations, the disappointment could fracture the unity ARMY has preserved through years of military service separations. The pressure, some critics say, could be unfairly placed on Suga himself, turning what should be a joyful moment of reconnection into a minefield of obligations. Outside the fandom, industry voices have questioned the larger implications. Was Suga's silence during military service truly his choice? Or was it part of HYBE's strategy to keep anticipation simmering until the perfect moment? Some journalists suggest that BTS members are caught between their individual desires for privacy and the company's corporate needs. The controversy deepens when considering HYBE's stock patterns, spikes in value, often coincide with BTS announcements, meaning Suga's post may have more financial consequences than fans initially realize. Is it fair that his personal gesture of return is tied to millions of dollars in market reactions? Or is this simply the reality of being one of the most influential artists in the world? Even among ARMY, fractures appear. Older fans who value BTS's artistry and authenticity clash, with newer fans who thrive on viral spectacle and rapid engagement. Some demand a clear explanation. Is this a teaser for music, or just a personal update. Others argue that Suga owes no explanation at all, that his presence alone is a gift. These divisions are subtle but real, showing how one post can highlight the complexity of a fandom stretched across continents, generations, and ideologies. And then there is the international stage. Western media has begun framing Suga's return as a testing ground for BTS's global re-entry. Headlines ask whether K-pop's biggest phenomenon can reclaim its dominance in a world now saturated with new boy groups, girl groups, and rising global competition. If Suga's post is meant to spark anticipation, does it also open BTS to harsher scrutiny if their comeback does not surpass past records? The controversy is no longer just about Suga. It is about whether BTS can once again carry the weight of being the standard bearer for an entire industry. This storm of speculation, critique, and unease has only made the atmosphere more tense. What was meant to be a silent reconnection has transformed into one of the most controversial moments in recent K-pop history. Fans, critics, and analysts are locked in a battle of interpretations. Suga remains silent. HYBE remains silent. And silence itself has become the most controversial act of all.
The silence surrounding Suga's return is now louder than any statement, and as the days pass, the controversy only deepens. What began as joy has morphed into a heated clash of narratives. On one side stand the fans who defend Suga unconditionally, framing his return as a deeply personal gesture, a message of loyalty and love after years of distance. On the other side are critics, skeptics, and even some disillusioned fans who believe that nothing in the BTS universe happens without corporate oversight, that HYBE has turned Suga's very absence into a commodity, stretching anticipation until the exact point it could trigger maximum impact. Tension spikes further when financial analysts point out the immediate aftershock. HYBE stock value surged shortly after the post went live. Was this coincidence? Or was it the very purpose of the post? The idea that a fan's emotional response can be linked so directly to corporate profit disturbs many, igniting harsh debates online. Fans wonder, are we being manipulated? Is our loyalty a tool to keep share prices afloat? The discussion becomes even more controversial as screenshots circulate showing how HYBE executives previously tied comeback hints to market strategies. Suddenly, the warmth of Suga's return is tangled with the cold machinery of corporate economics. Adding to the storm is the involvement of rival fandoms. Fans of other K-pop acts argue that BTS is once again monopolizing attention, overshadowing other groups who have been working tirelessly during BTS's military hiatus. Some accuse BTS's fandom of creating noise out of nothing, insisting that Suga's photos are no different from countless updates idols post daily. This argument, however, only sharpens ARMY's resolve, fueling online battles that trend across platforms. Words like arrogance, manipulation, and overhype dominate threads, creating an environment where every argument feels like a battlefield. Even within BTS's own fandom, divisions sharpen. Certain ARMY factions accuse HYBE of dangling false hope that a full group comeback is imminent, while others insist that patience is necessary, that BTS has always delivered in their own time and on their own terms. This internal split is unsettling because it threatens the one thing BTS has always been known for: unity. If even ARMY cannot agree on how to interpret Suga's return, what does that mean for the larger narrative of the group's future? Meanwhile, industry insiders stoke the fire. Rumors spread that Suga may already be preparing solo material and that his return is less about BTS and more about solidifying his own identity in a rapidly evolving global market. If true, this could complicate expectations for a group reunion. Some journalists whisper about tension among members over how to balance solo careers with the monumental pressure of a group comeback. Though unconfirmed, even the hint of internal conflict is enough to drive headlines and fan speculation, further muddying the waters of Suga's quiet return. Western media amplifies the controversy by asking whether BTS can truly dominate again in a changed landscape. In the years since their enlistments, dozens of new acts have risen to global fame. The question looms: can BTS reclaim their throne, or has the industry moved on? Framing Suga's post as a test run, outlets suggest that this moment may be less about nostalgia and more about pressure, the expectation that BTS's re-emergence must not only meet, but surpass their historic past. If it does not, critics warn, the backlash could be unprecedented. In the midst of this storm, Suga himself remains completely silent beyond those photos. He offers no clarification, no direct communication, no live stream to calm the frenzy. That silence has become controversial in itself as fans demand answers while others admire his restraint. Some say the silence is disrespectful, leaving ARMY to fight among themselves. Others argue it is genius, a masterstroke of mystery that keeps every eye locked on him, proving once again that Suga can command the world without uttering a single word. And so the controversy grows, layer by layer. Is this the prelude to the biggest comeback in modern music history, or is it the exposure of just how fragile and combustible global fandom culture has become? The stakes are enormous, and the tension unbearable. Every hour that passes without clarity only makes the storm more explosive. The controversy refuses to settle. It only sharpens. As silence stretches, theories and suspicions multiply, creating a volatile atmosphere that feels like a ticking time bomb. Suga's reappearance was supposed to be a celebration, yet now it has become a battlefield where trust, loyalty, and doubt collide. Every fan group, every media outlet, every industry insider seems to have chosen a side, and the lines of division grow more visible each day. Among ARMY, the fractures are undeniable. Some argue that BTS members deserve the freedom to return however they choose, that questioning their intentions is disrespectful to the years of sacrifice they've endured. Others insist that idols who command such global power owe clarity, not mystery, that the silence feels manipulative when millions hang on every gesture. Discord servers, Twitter spaces, and fan forums are ablaze with heated arguments. Are we being played one side, or are we simply too impatient to trust the process? The debate is raw, emotional, and increasingly bitter. Korean media adds fuel to the fire by framing Suga's post not as an innocent act, but as a calculated maneuver. Some columnists argue that his return aligns too perfectly with Hybe's promotional calendar, hinting that Suga's individuality is compromised by the corporate machine. Others take it further, speculating that BTS's contract renewals may have included clauses requiring symbolic public gestures to maintain relevance during their hiatus. While unproven, such claims resonate with critics who already view K-pop as tightly controlled. The suggestion that even Suga's silence is scripted is a heavy blow to those who cherished him as the most authentic, no-nonsense member of the group. International outlets are equally merciless. Western publications question whether BTS can ever return to the cultural dominance they once held, pointing out how rapidly music trends shift in a digital age. The industry doesn't wait, one headline declared, suggesting that while ARMY waited faithfully, the world may have moved on. Other groups now fill the charts, dominate TikTok, and headline global festivals. Could it be that BTS's timing is too late, and that Suga's post is less a triumphant return than a desperate bid to reclaim lost ground? Rival fandoms seize on this moment, framing ARMY's reactions as proof of overhype and blind devotion. One photo and the world bends, they mock, turning Suga's return into a weapon to undermine BTS's credibility. This sparks digital wars that stretch across languages and continents, filling social media with insults, defenses, and endless counter-arguments. The global conversation no longer revolves around what Suga meant. It revolves around how divisive BTS's influence has become. Amidst this chaos, whispers of internal BTS struggles grow louder. Unverified leaks claim disagreements among members about the timing of their reunion, with some preferring to focus on solo work while others push for a full comeback. Suga's silence then becomes suspicious. Is he holding back because of unresolved internal debates? Fans recall past interviews where he hinted at differing opinions within the group, and those memories now resurface with renewed urgency. The idea that BTS could be fractured even slightly sends shivers through ARMY, who have long clung to the group's image of unity as their core strength. The political dimension of the controversy is also impossible to ignore. BTS has long been tied to South Korea's cultural diplomacy, used as soft power on the global stage. Suga's return, intentionally or not, reopens discussions about how much pressure is placed on idols to carry the weight of national. Was his post really personal, or was it encouraged to maintain BTS's symbolic status for Korea? In a climate where politics and pop culture are deeply entwined, the boundary between the personal and the performative blurs to the point of vanishing. Yet perhaps the most explosive controversy lies not in what was posted, but in what was not. No caption, no explanation, no interaction. That vacuum of clarity has forced fans to create their own meanings, turning Suga's silence into a mirror that reflects their deepest hopes and darkest fears. It is genius, some say. It is manipulative, others argue, but everyone agrees it is powerful. The storm grows with each passing day. The longer Hybe and Suga remain silent, the higher the stakes climb. Every minute without clarity feeds speculation, fuels media narratives, and intensifies fan battles. What should have been a moment of reunion has spiraled into one of the most controversial events in recent music history. And now the world waits, trembling between two possibilities. Either this silence will break with an announcement so monumental that it will silence every critic, or it will collapse under its own weight, exposing cracks in BTS's empire that no one ever thought possible.